Another beautiful day in southern Alberta. Today I'm going to do some learnings videos on the hothouse, cattle panel arches, and the pollard posts. And anyway, so I'll do a bunch of videos and put them together shortly. The hothouse, which we see here, was very interesting this year. My first year having it. Here I've got the door propped closed to keep it warmer in there. Let's go inside and we'll start there. So we go inside and what we see is lots of tomatoes in a pot on the right hand side, in the ground on the left, squash in the back, and peppers over to the side. First thing I learned is this pot that I picked up really cheap, Canadian Tire, is problematic because it doesn't hold enough water and it needs to be dealt with every single day or else it wilts and it's a goner. So I need to get all the tomatoes in the ground. The other thing I learned, as you can see here, I've got moles even into the hothouse. This is the second big hill here, and they're just a pain. The peppers, my seedlings initially didn't do well, so I went and bought a plant from Canadian Tire, and it produced one beautiful orange pepper, and I had one other plant that had a pepper on it, so I've had two peppers. These are seedlings, a little tiny, that I put in, and you can see they're getting up there. They're getting some little flowers on it, but you know, it's the end of August, and whether I get anything out of it or not, hard to say. The good thing is another plant I got from Canadian Tire is a hot pepper. It's done really well. I've already harvested 3 or 4, and I've got, you know, a dozen on there that are quite nice. So that turned out well. I'm not sure if this is the best place for the peppers. I got to think about that. I might move them outside into pots. But shortly what I want to do is dig these up. Since these are perennials in the right setting, so dig them up, put them in pots, and bring them inside and see if I can overwinter them. My tomatoes in the ground have done fairly well. You can see this is like a beefsteak. I've already harvested one big tomato. Here's another. So I'm gonna have like 6 or 8 off of that plant, which is nice. My paste tomato down at the end here has done okay. Nothing to write home about. My other ones, here's a kind of a mid-sized tomato here. That's the first fruit, and there's some other ones in there. So, you know, these are probably going to be good. My cherry tomatoes, I step back, they're like 7 feet tall, still flowering and putting on fruit. So I think they'll be fine. I've harvested, you know, some, nothing spectacular, but there's some good bunches coming. The problem that I have with them, you can sort of see here, I have a narrow pathway in the middle to walk, and my strings I've tied to this central, to this bar on the side right here, and I should have tied them to the outside bar, because the way they are, the plants are pushing into the aisle, and it's too hard to walk in here, and I got empty space in behind. So I need to restring these next year so that they go to the back, and that'll work much better. This is the back of the hothouse, and there's a bunch of stuff growing in here. It's a combination of zucchini, sunflowers, some sort of a gourd squash, or pumpkin, maybe that's a pumpkin, and cucumbers. Now, the only thing that's really done anything of particular merit for harvest is a zucchini. And as you look down on this plant here, you can see there's a nice zucchini in there, another one in the side, and in the back there, down low, there's another one. Can't really see it. Oh, yeah, there we go. There you go. Now, the problem with all these things is twofold. They're too crowded. They're way too crowded, and that causes the leaves to take up almost all the space. I've been pulling out leaves like a regular basis. So 50% of the leaves are gone just to provide space. As you can see in here, a bunch cut out. And the other thing, we got mildew, and it's been an ongoing thing. I've just, 2 days ago I cut out all the things with mildew on it, and 2 days later, it's here again. So, my thinking is this. I'm going to move these outside to give them more space to grow, and better fertilization, where more insects can get access to the flowers, and more space for these to really take off, and hopefully better circulation, less mildew. That's one thing for sure. Another thing is these grow bags. These are all in big grow bags, and they are not on my water drip system. Like, the pipes come to an end before the bags, and so that's the problem. So I turn on the drip irrigation, and I get good water on the tomatoes, but the actual squash, etc., has to be hand watered every day. So, and I've also found I basically have to hand fertilize everything. Like these pumpkins here, we got a nice vine, but I hand fertilize these two, and that's why I've got fruit coming. Zucchini is the same thing. The summer squash down here, lots of little fruit, but as you can see, they're all rotting. That's been a common theme. So I definitely need to get them out, more room to rumble, better circulation, and I think that'll work much better. What I'm going to do with the grow bags is I'm going to take them out of here. I'll decide later when I'm going to put in them, but I'm going to build up some boards, make an L here, and raise the soil level to the same height as I've got in my raised bed. And that way I can grow. I think what I'll probably end up doing is just putting tomatoes in here in the whole hothouse, make it tomatoes only, and perhaps tomatoes only, and all of them in the ground, and all of them strung to the back, so that there's more room for them to expand, and give more room for walking around. Now I've got this shelf. Now if I've got strong tomatoes going up the back, I mean I could pull the shelf forward. There's like a 3 or 4 inch gap there. I could pull it forward, leave the gap in the back for the tomato plants to come up, and then I could use these shelves for peppers. Maybe I'll bring peppers out, put them in bags, and just hand water them, or add another drip line that comes in, comes up, and then that's the hassle. So probably I'll bring peppers or something, or herbs into these things, or hanging from small pots, and try to maximize space. But basically the hothouse inside is going to convert 100% to tomatoes. I got a thermometer inside at the back, way to the back there. Yeah, you can't really see it up by the window in the back, and then another one just outside. And what it indicates is that when I close the door, I can get up to 10 to 12 degrees heat build up inside versus outside, outdoors. And in the hot summer when it's hot in there, I'll leave the door open, and that ventilation window in the back, which is a wax tube, and it's automatic. It ventilates it pretty good, but I think that'll work well. In that scenario, then I've got about 4 to 6 degrees extra heat in the hothouse. And the other thing really clear is that the hothouse protects from the wind, and that happens also on the outside. And this caterpillar trellis, I've got beans basically on this side growing, scarlet runners, some yellow beans. These have fruited to some degree, and there's still flowers. This is August 30th, so I could get frost any day, but the weather forecast is good for the next 10 days, so I expect I'm going to get a pretty good second harvest. I've already harvested once, and there's some nice looking beans. I think rattlesnake beans. So it's worked well for the beans. But as I was mentioning, I think having the hothouse inside the trellis, or the cattle panel, it's reduced the wind, so protected. And also early on, especially early on in the season, those beans right over there, they were by far the fastest growing and went right to the top, basically, or near the top of the cattle panel. And so that was very good. I think it was a combination of heat, light reflecting off the hothouse, giving them more heat, which the beans love, so they took off, and also protection from the wind, so they also took off. So this was very clear cut versus all the other cattle panels. On this side, my apples are diving down onto the side. This side is sugar snap peas, and the sugar snaps, they've only got up to 4 feet. Even now it's frost time, and my peas have not had a good harvest. I mean, I've got to come in and pick some now. I got some nice looking stuff in there now, but I still have a few flowers, some new flowers, coming out, new flowers. So if I keep watering, these peas will continue to grow and produce, and they could do that for another month. So in the end, it might be just fine. But overall, they're a disappointment. They didn't grow tall anywhere, and you know, pretty thin. So I've got to rethink what I'm going to do. But this is the west side, west side, and so what I'm thinking is that if I take the squash, zucchini outside of out of the hothouse, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant those in these beds on both sides of the hothouse, so I get protection from the wind, a little more heat from reflection of light off the surface of the hothouse, and hopefully those will do very well. I can tie them up onto the cattle panel and allow them to go to really spread. They got good ventilation and lots of room to grow and spread. So I'm going to try cucumbers, squash, and zucchini, and pumpkins, things like that in these beds. And I will have, you know, I'll spot a few things in the 2 feet between the cattle panel there and the edge of the bed here. That's 2 feet wide. And in this case, I put bush beans and kale, and you know, I don't know what I'll do something in there as well, but I got to try my squash. Here's my hothouse. This is my little window I built with the little cylinder in there to keep it open. So, you know, it's not very hot out right now. It's maybe 15 degrees, probably 20 or 25 inside. And it's propped open, so you get some high ventilation there, and then the door on the other side. You can see a lot of sun reflecting off the side of that hothouse. So if I put in squash, especially back where the trellis is, and allow it to grow up and hang on that trellis, I think it could work really well. I mean, it could maybe get squash or cucumbers growing right over the top. Now, see those scarlet runners have done very well. It's the second harvest. You can see all those beans in there, some big beauties. So scarlet runner's done very well. The problem, one of the issues is going up over the top, is that when the wind blows, which is quite frequently, you know, they're very exposed and they get bashed around. But you know, we'll give it a try and see if we can improve things next year.